So at last I've finally swapped my old battery over on the Volt. It's quite a joke really. I came to do it the other day when I made the video and packed the camera up thinking, right, I'll do it now. You know, I'd filmed it, showed you the new battery, showed you the charger. I went back to the box and got the bike all ready, got the saddle off as you really need to take off, and with the new battery, which is on the bike now, there was no key. Searched all through the box, through the charger box, no key. I had my old key to take because obviously the battery is locked on the bottom of the bike, and now whether the key had dropped out in transit, whether the key hadn't been packed, so I couldn't do it. So I went back to Volt and said, look, you know, you've kindly sent me this battery, you know, blah blah blah, but I still can't fit it to the bike because there is no key, and obviously I need the key to lock the battery onto the bike. So they come back, oh dear, well, have you looked through the box? Yes, I've ripped the box to shreds looking for it, sort of thing. You know, it's usually in the packing. No, it's not in the packing. You know, it took them a couple of emails for them to believe me that this key wasn't there. You know, and this is the first time I'd opened the box. And eventually they said, oh, well, we'll put you onto our technical department then, and they'll probably be able to help you. Well, a very nice guy then emailed me and said, look, we're really sorry about this. You know, the key should have been in the box. And obviously, for some reason, it fell out or wasn't packed, whatever. But the trouble is, we don't know the key number. All these keys have numbers. It might be a good idea, if you've got one of these old-fashioned style keys, you'll see a little number along the top there. This is, you know, a four-figure number on the top of that key. It's a good idea to write that down, because if you do ever lose your key, you can then quote that to your bike manufacturer and they should be able to supply you with a new key if you know the number. But of course, nobody knew my number because there was no keys. Lordy Lord knows what it was, sort of thing. So what they had to do, and I put a little bit of in this video will be me showing you what I had to do. I had to fit a new barrel lock, obviously with a new set of keys. So they sent me a new barrel lock and I had to fit that, and I'll put that in the video because it might be of use to some people. And also I've experimented and wondered, you know, how you go on if you lose it. If I mean, I've still got this old key after 6 years, and I always look after my keys. It's a bit bent, but it still works. But if you lose your keys and you want to get the battery off, how do you do it? Well, I've sort of experimented in this video, and if you want to keep on watching and have a look at that, by all means do so. But I finally got the new battery on. Also, would you believe, the battery is slightly different in size. You know, this is what we. Why do we have to accept this today? Why do we put up with this? I don't know. You know, this is basic engineering. The batteries are obviously, this Volt bike is 6 years old, so the battery is slightly different size. The locking hole doesn't line up. Now, if this was sent to somebody non-technical or an older person who was just thinking, oh, just go slide the old battery out and slide the new one in and lock it in place, job done. No, I've had to actually drill and slightly widen the hole, the locking, where the bolt comes and locks into the bike, because it was way out of kilter on this new battery. And there was no adjustment. You know, the only way I could do it was slightly enlarge the hole because also the new bolt, this part, the new bolt was slightly bigger also on the new battery. So it wasn't a question of just sliding a new battery on and job done. I've had to drill a little bit out and jiggle it about to fit the battery, and it locks on now. As you can see, that is locked on. So I finally got the new battery on. But if you want to have a look at what I had to do and how to change, if you ever have to change one of these barrel locks, these locks are getting better. They're not so easy. I used to be able to, on the power bikes I used to be able to pick the locks. but these are getting quite sophisticated. Perhaps if you took your time and you'd lost your key, you could still pick your lock. But so to basically replace the lock barrel, as you can see here, you've got to take there's four screws that hold the bottom of the battery compartment on. They're quite long screws, but they've just got to be taken off, so you can access the actual lock barrel and remove that. So that's the first thing to do, is say take the four screws holding the bottom of the battery compartment on there. Like I said, the reason I'm doing this, because the the replacement battery, which this is the brand new battery, it came with no keys. Somebody forgot to put the keys in the box, or the keys got lost or dropped out the box. The box is pretty well sealed, I have to say, and as nobody knew the key number, there was no record of what key number had been sent to me. The only way I can overcome this is to fit a new lock mechanism and have a new set of keys. So that's why I'm doing this. And as I say, they're quite long threaded screws that hold this bottom plate on. So there we are, we've got that off, and then it's a question of, once you've got them fully removed, still got a little way to go on that one. And then a slight, just jiggling it, and the bottom comes off. Now you've got some wires attached here, so you have to be quite careful. There is quite a bit of excess wiring, and the next thing you've got is this hard foam block, which is like packing, to keep it all packed together, which had been like stuck down, and you've got to remove this to access 3 more screws. So just that block, basically it's only stuck on with a bit of like double-sided tape, and once you've pulled that off, you can see you've got 3 small like almost like self-tapping screws there, and they just want undoing, and then you can get access then to the actual lock barrel to remove that. Very simple, as I say, very easy. And then that plate lifts up, and actually that pulls right out. So there we go. We've now got it all apart. That's the wiring, as you can see, and there's also a fuse in there. If you ever wonder why the battery might have stopped, do remember there's a fuse in the bottom there as well. That's the bottom case. So the new lock fits in like that, and then is held in place with a little there again, a small threaded screw that just screws in and holds that in place. Like so, and that's just screws into there, and that's our locking plate, and then you see you can just put it in, and yes, that's turning okay with the key. So now it's just a question of putting all this back together into the back, into the obviously bottom of the battery compartment, basically. The bottom plate goes in like that, it just sort of slides back in, and you've got your 3 like little self-tapping screws that go into there to hold that back in. Very easy, there we go, there's the 3 screws that hold that in place. Now I have actually put some new double-sided tape on this stiff foam block, which, as I say, is just purely packing to keep it all in place. And so I stick that over the screws as it was before. So this has just had some new double-sided tape put on it, and then peel the top double-sided tape off, which then sort of seals and holds all the cell pack in. It's just a question, you've just got to get the wires folded down and get the fuse in the right position. You've got plenty of room there actually, it's not difficult, and it just sort of, it doesn't even clip, it's the like the 4 threaded screws that hold it all in place then. And there we go, and then that's fitted back on. Now it's just a question of dropping these long threaded screws back down and fasten those up, and that's the new lock basically fitted then. It's a very easy job. If you ever want to change the lock, or you've lost your key and you know, you want to put a new lock unit in there, and so there we go, just tightening those screws back down. Obviously, while you're doing this, I didn't say at the start, you do want to make sure that the battery is turned off. These Volt batteries have a button on the top of the battery where you can turn the battery on and off. Well, do make sure, obviously, before you start messing about, that that is in the off position, and the 4 little lights at the top are off, just purely for safety reasons, obviously. And so that's just tighten those threaded screws up, and that's it. That is the job done. And we now have a new lock that with new keys, which should open the, there we go, and the pin works and it pulls the bolt across, and that will lock into the bike chassis. So this got me thinking. I had this spare lock, obviously with no keys, and nobody knew the number of what keys it should have. So I thought, you know, what if you were faced with the worst possible case scenario here? You'd lost your keys to undo this lock, your battery was on the bike, so the battery was locked on the bike. You hadn't got any keys to undo this lock. You know, you might try, as I've said a bit earlier, you might try unpicking this lock. I think it can be done. That they're not that technical as locks go, and that may be one way that you could crack it. But if you can't do that, and you don't know your key number, you haven't written your key number down, so you can't go to the bike manufacturer and say, can I have you got such and such a number key, and you could buy a new key and undo it that way. You can't do that because you haven't got the number. Obviously this is a last scenario. You know, you could go to a locksmith and have them have a look at it, but that's going to cost a fair amount of money. And they're probably going to end up doing this anyway. They might be able to unpick it for you, but I thought these locks look very soft metal, and so what you could do, you could lay the bike down, and then what I did with a 6mm drill bit, a nice sharp metal drill bit, I have just drilled the lock out. Obviously, doing this, the lock is ruined, but you're going to fit it. You know, what you'd have to do is fit a new lock to replace this with. This is just to get the battery off the bike if you've lost your keys and want to remove the battery. Very easy. It took me, I think, under 2 minutes to drill this out. Very quick, drill it straight, and not a problem with the battery drill with a nice sharp metal drill bit. It was a 6mm drill bit I used, and I found it very, very easy to do this. Once you've got the lock mechanism, or the actual, you know, pin mechanism of the lock drilled out like this, it was very easy to put a little screwdriver in and just pull the lock bolt back, and then the battery would fall off. You know, you could just lift the battery off. It opened that, you know, you could slide the lock pin back, slide a little screwdriver in there, and it just would slide back, and very easy. So that is a last case scenario. Obviously, if you find yourself lost your keys, or you buy a bike that hasn't got battery keys and you want to get the battery off, you know, these locks are very easy to drill out, and once you've drilled them out, you know, no great issues. You can soon fit a new one. They're not very expensive neither. So there we go. I hope that might have helped you or been of interest. So as I've already said at the start of this video, I've now got the brand new battery fitted onto the bike. I'll give you a quick update in a few weeks of how that new battery is performing, and let you know in time on that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'd like to wish all of you a wonderful and very happy, and let's hope 2021 is a better year for all of us. So a very happy new year from me. And as always, thanks for watching, and do come back soon and see what we're up to. And bye for now anyway.